Before we jump into these 12 biblical green flags you want to see before you get into a relationship with someone, I think this is a great opportunity to remind ourselves of the perfection trap. The perfection trap is a term I like to use when we're referring to that type of situation where you've become so idealistic that you've created such an unachievable list of requirements that there's really no one out there you'll ever meet that can live up to this list of requirements. So it's really important to remember that every human being besides Jesus Christ is imperfect. And so even on this list, which are really important things, but there's going to be elements of all of these points that we all struggle with at some point in life. And so really what you want to see is how a person is regularly walking with the Holy Spirit and how they respond to failing in some of these areas. Are they repenting? Can they recognize it? Can they change? And are they generally succeeding with these 12 green flags? Also, these are not in any particular order of importance except the last one. The last one on this list is definitely the most important green flag you have to see. Green flag number 1, they argue fairly with others. Maybe the word argue isn't the best term because biblically, we're not supposed to be arguing as Christians. So really what I'm talking about are those general disagreements that can be healthy, but they can also turn toxic, depending on how the person is acting in those moments of tension and disagreement. Because when you think about becoming one with the person God has for you, you may think that you will be one on every situation. And that's definitely not going to happen. So rather than thinking of, well, does this person argue? If they argue, it's not that. It's when they argue, how do they act? For example, you may think that someone never argues, but in reality, if that's happening, it's probably because they're just shutting down. So they're arguing by, running away. And that's the type of situation where you get blindsided years later with all these issues you didn't even know about because it finally built up enough in this person and now it's just, totally out of control. Or on the other hand, someone could be extremely aggressive, having to solve everything exactly the way they want it to be solved. And they're pushing, hoping that you just submit and give up and do what they want. A healthy person, however, knows how to argue fairly, so to speak. And they can express their desires. They can let you know when there's a disagreement, but they're not out to cut your throat. They're not out to win at any cost. They want to solve the problem with you because they love you and they want to be of one accord. Proverbs 15:1, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Green flag number 2, they show character when they're talking about people they don't necessarily like. How does this person talk about the pastor who split up their church and ended up being a charlatan? How does this person talk about their ex? How does this person talk about the politicians that they didn't vote for? We don't need to pretend like we enjoy everybody or that we agree with everybody out there in the world. But it's a huge sign of character when we can express our disagreements. We can let people know that I'm not with that person. I don't accept their behavior. And I'm not going to lose self-control. I'm going to retain my own dignity and respect. And I don't have to badmouth that person and defile myself in the process. As Jesus said, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Green flag number 3, they have self-awareness about their own issues and they're willing to work on them. How can you solve a problem you're not willing to see? Self-awareness is one of the core foundational blocks of growth. That's one of the reasons God commands us to regularly be in His law. Because the law of God found in the scriptures exposes our sin. It shows us where we're off the godly path. Matthew 7:4-5, or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when there's a log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Green flag number 4, they celebrate other people's wins and they mourn when other people are suffering. Toxic people are so self-absorbed that they don't have the ability to feel what other people are feeling. But a mature person has the ability to put themselves in someone else's shoes and celebrate when things are going well, and to, feel their pain when it's not going well. Romans 12:15, rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep. Green flag number 5, they have holy habits. A meaningful life is not just made up of mountaintop experiences. There definitely are some of those things, but our lives are really made up of the collection of moments. It's like the collections of grains of sand form the entire beach. That's what it's like with our lives. The way we spend our minutes will form the way we spend our days. The way we spend our days will be how we spent our year. How we spend our year will be how we end up spending our decades. And you get the point. It's how we spend our lives is really the habits that we're engaged in. So it's a huge green flag when this person has holy habits. They are committed every morning, praying, reading the Bible. Every week they go to church. It's not a one-off when they're pursuing holiness every now and then. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Green flag number 6, they're willing to deal with problems when you say something like, can we talk? That phrase right there, can we talk? That sends some people running to the hills, never to be seen again. But it's a huge green flag when there's a problem, you bring it up, and the person settles in and they're like, okay, let's deal with this. I'm willing to listen to what you have to say. I'm willing to express myself now that we're talking about this issue, and let's compromise. Let's work this out together. Ephesians 4:26-27. Do not let the sun go down on your anger and give no opportunity to the devil. Green flag number 7. They know how to set up boundaries with pushy people. Other people will ruin your relationships if you let them. And even if you have healthy boundaries and you know how to keep people at arm's distance who need to be kept at arm's distance because they're, don't understand where their authority line ends, and so you are able to check them and protect yourself in your life. If you partner up with someone who doesn't have that ability, it's like having a defenses around the castle wall and someone inside is opening the drawbridge constantly, letting the enemy in. Romans 16:17, I appeal to you, brothers, to watch out for those who cause divisions and to create obstacles contrary to the doctrine that you have been taught. Avoid them. Green flag number 8. They desire the biblical roles for marriage. Nowadays, many people will straight up tell you if you ask them, no, I don't think the Bible's right about, the roles of a husband and wife. They think that men and women are interchangeable. But it's a green flag when someone knows the basics, and they love the basics. They know husbands are called to sacrificially lead and love. And they know that wives are called to lovingly submit and respect. However, let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. Green flag number 9. They treat people well even when there's no personal benefit to treating that person well. How do they talk to strangers? How do they treat the waitress? Are they rude or respectful? Do they ever let somebody merge onto the highway when clearly there's like 4 lanes to the left that you could easily move over, but you just won't let that person in? Are they that type of person? It's a green flag when they can treat somebody with love and respect, even though there's a good chance they may never see that person again, because that's a sign of character. Hebrews 13:2, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Green flag number 10, they're trustworthy. Sometimes our own kindness is what keeps leading us into hurtful relationships. Now, it's great to give people the benefit of the doubt, but a lot of times we give people the benefit of the doubt when all the doubt has been removed. If there's tons of evidence that someone is hurtful and untrustworthy, don't trust them. Life happens. I'm not saying people are going to be perfect and never show up late or, never can't make a commitment that they made. But this is one of those things. Are they generally trustworthy? Luke 16:10, one who is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. And one who is dishonest in a very little is also dishonest in much. Green flag number 11. They have a biblical worldview. Our core beliefs shape everything. The way we see, the way we act. And so if you have a biblical worldview and this person does not, you will always be at odds. It's a huge green flag when they're following Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And green flag number 12, the most important one on this list, they don't just believe in Jesus, they love him. Doctrine is very important. Professing Christ verbally before the world is an essential mark of a true Christian. Daily prayer, daily Bible reading, regularly attending church, obedience to God. But above all of that, there has to be a love for Christ in their heart. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. Do you want a free PDF copy of my book called The One? All you have to do is join my email list, which is also a great benefit because I send weekly emails letting people know about the new articles and videos and resources, and I send you helpful content. So join the list by clicking the link in the description of this video, and you'll get a free copy of the book, The One. I'm Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com. Until next time, God bless.